Have you ever started to build positive momentum in your life just to end up in the same place that you started? That's because you keep losing the final level to the final boss because you don't even know he exists. You keep coming so close to changing your life for the better, but falling back into your old patterns, falling back into your old habits. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why. I spent the majority of my life as a loser, an out of shape, unconfident man who genuinely had no path in life. And I genuinely never thought I even stood a chance to build my dream life, to build my dream physique, to actually go after the things I wanted to in my life until I hit rock bottom and I had no choice but to go up. Basically, I was always just bouncing from job to job, trying to find the easiest route. I was never confident with women. I was never in great shape. And my way of thinking was just, no one in my family has been successful. I'm lazy. I'm just not meant for this. I'm not genetically blessed. I had all these negative thoughts about myself. And it led to me being a failure on paper. And I got to a point in my life where the only way for me to make any money and basically just survive was I had to actually try and do something with my life, which is fucked up as it sounds, but I got to that point. And once I finally had my back against the wall and I had to pass this exam in order for me to get a license at the job I was working so I could actually make money, that was the first time in my life I actually applied myself and I tried at anything. And through that application, I ended up passing that exam that I never thought in a million years I could pass. And as a result of me passing that exam, it was the first time in my life I realized when I put my mind to something, I could do it. And from that point on, my ambitions grew. That was the positive spark that I needed for me to build my dream life. Because right after that, I got to 10% body fat, which in the past I never thought that I could do. Then I got a better job. Then I got a nice girlfriend. Then we moved out together. Then I started a business, moved to Florida, got an even better job. All these things happened as a result of one positive momentum spark. But I felt like with every level that I got to of me trying to level up my life, I would hit a wall at some point where I was making the progress I wanted, but then I'd fall back. Like I started losing weight, dropping body fat when I wanted to get to 10% body fat, but then I ended up hitting a plateau and getting stuck for a year, for 2 years, right? Same thing happened when I was trying to get a new job. I was just building positive momentum. I was finding jobs, lining up interviews, but then I started to have the thoughts of, you're not qualified for this, Devin. You can't do this. You've always been a bum. You've always been a loser. Same thing with me starting a business. I got all excited and started researching businesses and I was about to pull the trigger and then I started to think, damn, who are you to start a business? You're not qualified for this. So it was this pattern in my life where I'd start to build momentum, I'd start to make some changes, but then all of a sudden I'd start thinking, nah, you know what? Think about all those times you failed, Devin. Think about all those times you were a loser, Devin. You have no chance of doing this thing that you want to do. And a lot of times I'd lose that battle and it took me a really, really, really long time to overcome it. But I now understand what those moments actually were, why they happened, and how to win those battles. See, each one of us has something called a paradigm. Our paradigm is our way of thinking. And our way of thinking has gotten us the life that we currently have, right? Because when you have a thought, that thought leads to an emotion. Your emotion leads to an action. That action leads to a result. And based on what happens with this result, that's what reinforces our paradigm. So it's this loop. So let's just say that you think that you have bad genetics. You think, I can't get in good shape. I just don't have the genetics to do it. That thought is going to lead to you feeling bad, right? You're not going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel hopeless. And as a result of you feeling hopeless, when you go to the gym, when you actually try and take care of your nutrition, you're going to do it half-assed because subconsciously you don't even think you stand a chance. As a result of you taking a half-ass action in the gym, a half-ass action with your diet, you're going to get a half-ass result and you're not going to make progress. Then you're going to look at that half-ass result that you're getting and say, see, I knew it was my genetics. No, it was your paradigm. It was your paradigm. So we all have this way of thinking, this loop. And we have these thoughts in our mind that have been programmed, whether it's from our parents or teachers, things we see online, or just life experience, or the people around us in our circle, that we believe that is our truth. But it doesn't mean it's the truth. And our paradigm is why we are where we are. But if we want to move to a new level in life, if we want to level up the video game of life, if we want to become better, we need to adopt a new paradigm, or some call it a new frequency. See, right now, our thought patterns are tuned into a radio station. I'm sure when you were younger and you were, driving around when we only had radios, you would try and change the station. And I don't know if you remember, like, when you would try and get to the station you're looking for, if you went to the one right before it, it was like a staticky version of the station you're actually trying to tune into. And that's where you are. That's the period you're in right before you're about to tune into the new chapter of your life, the new frequency. And right there, when you get to that station, right before the one that's clear, that's where people lose. And it's because of our paradigm. See, here's the thing. You have to think of your paradigm, your way of thinking, as like your doppelganger. There's a carbon copy version of you who's been with you your whole life. Or you could think of your paradigm as like your toxic ex-girlfriend. And you're trying to go to a new frequency. You're trying to go to a new level. You're trying to adopt a new paradigm. But how do you adopt a new paradigm? You have to leave the one you've had your whole life behind. But here's the thing, your paradigm, think of it as another entity. It's a doppelganger version of you, and it knows you're trying to leave it, right? What happens when you're dating a girl and you try and leave her? She's gonna beg you not to leave her. She's gonna be like, no, please don't leave me. Your paradigm does the same thing. So when it knows you're trying to level up and leave it behind, it panics and it sabotages you. And this is where so many people fall. This is where I fell hundreds of times. And this is how it does it. Have you ever noticed when you start to make positive momentum, you get the urge to go back to your old habits? Let's say you are starting to get in great shape. All of a sudden you want to go back to eating fucking McDonald's. You want to start drinking. Maybe you're starting to build some confidence and all of a sudden you want to go fat to Pornhub. Right? You get these urges. To go back, but it's not you. That's not you. That's your old paradigm trying to trick you. See, for me, when I started to get in great shape, my old paradigm started to say, Devin, you're just a fat kid. You're just fat, bro. You're a loser. You're just going to go drink. You're just going to go jerk off. You don't deserve to be 10% body fat. Like, the fuck are you? I'd be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I should go fat. I should go do these things. And I kept losing that battle. And that's what made me stay in this plateau, right? It just took me so long to move forward. But once I started to research this and learn about this and understand what this is, I started to win. I started to beat that final boss and level up all these areas of my life, my faith, my mindset, my physique, all these things, build a business, like all these things, right? And so in your life, think about all the times you've tried to make positive momentum and got stuck. And let's think about how we can beat that in the future, right? The final boss. The number one weapon you have against your old paradigm, when it tries to pull you back down, it tries to convince you you're not worth anything. You're not worth all these goals. You can't actually change. Think of you didn't grow. No one in your family's done it before. You can't do that shit. You don't have the genetics for that shit. You're a loser. Look at all these times you failed in the past. You think you're going to become somebody? You're a fucking bum. When you start telling yourself these things, understand that's not you. And when you start to have the thoughts that maybe I should just go back to my old life, maybe I'm actually never going to achieve these goals, that is the sign you're looking for. That's the sign that you're about to break through, because your old paradigm is fucking panicking. It's panicking and it's trying to pull you back down because it knows you're about to leave it. So when you start to feel those things in the past, you've given into those feelings. You've believed them. You've trusted them. But now your number one weapon is going to be awareness. Become aware that that shit's not you. That's your old paradigm trying to fucking suck you back down to your old level, your old frequency, but your new frequency is right there. All you have to do is be aware and ignore that shit and keep going anyways. Awareness is your best weapon, because in the past, the reason you've given into those urges and temptations to go back to the way you've always been is because you thought that was really who you are. But I have good news, that's not you. You're about to become someone fucking so much better, so much more shredded, so much more jacked. But you can't let your paradigm win. You need to wake up every single day. This is how you get into your new frequency and your new paradigm. Think about what you want. Just take 5 minutes every morning, sit back in a chair, close your eyes, dead silence, no distractions, and genuinely think about the person you're becoming, the life you want to live. How does this man think? How does he walk? How does he talk? How is his confidence? How does he smell? What cologne does he wear? How does he eat? What are the ways he operates his life day to day? And then when you open your eyes after 5 minutes of envisioning every detail about this man, every morning, wake up and act like him. Become an actor playing the role of the best version of yourself. And guess what? Soon enough, you will become that man. If you want to go to sleep, how do you go to sleep? You lay down and pretend to sleep. And eventually, you sleep. There's nothing wrong. It's not faking. It's becoming. Because you have to be before you become this person. So in each day, when you start acting like this person, it's only acting for a short period of time. And eventually, that actually becomes who you are. But through that process of you manifesting, using the law of attraction, actually becoming the man you always wanted to be, you're going to have to beat the final boss at every level. When you try and level up your physique, there's going to be that final boss, your old paradigm. It's going to come and attack you. When you try and, get new girls in your life, or get a girlfriend, or maximize your relationships that you currently have with your wife or your girl right now, it's going to come. It's going to come. That old paradigm, that final boss, is going to try and beat you. When you try and build a business, that old paradigm is going to convince you shouldn't. Your old paradigm is going to be the final boss of every level you try and level up in your life. And the only way to beat it is become aware. So each and every day, wake up, act, breathe, talk, walk like the best version of yourself. And when you start to get the urges to go back to your old bad habits that you've been moving away from, you need to get excited. Laugh. Oh, not today, old paradigm. Not today, my friend. I know you're trying to fucking get me, and I'm not going to let you. Because if you just become aware and you ignore that shit, after 2, 3, 4 times, eventually, those thoughts are going to start to go away because your old paradigm has to die. The only thing that gives it life is you giving it acknowledgement. Because where your energy goes, you get more of. Where your attention goes, you get more of. When you pay attention to all the negative things in your life, you get more negative things. But when you pay attention to positive things in your life, you get more positive things. That's what attraction is. Each day, waking up and thinking of the things you want, not thinking of the things you don't want. That's the way it works. The universe gives you what you think about. So if we're constantly thinking about the best version of ourselves, even though we're going to have those thoughts and we know now to ignore those thoughts, we win. We fucking win. This is how I went from somebody who was making $500 a week, living at their parents' house, very out of shape, had no confidence, to someone who lives in a nice luxury apartment in Florida. I own my own business. I'm in, incredible shape at 10% body fat. I'm mentally strong. I'm confident. I did it all like this. Just each level understanding, becoming aware. That's how it's done. So become aware. Awareness is going to be your biggest weapon, but you are so close to breaking through. Keep pushing. If this video was helpful, drop me a like. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. But I hope this video was helpful. Stay strong in the fight, boys. You got this. You got this.